What is going on, everybody? Anon here. And the video I did a couple days ago about TCG toxic assets across Pokemon Magic, I think we hit on One Piece, Weiss, a couple other commander decks in Magic. It seems like it was pretty popular. So I'm going to go back to the well on this, and I'm going to do a version number 2. Now, this is going to be a little bit different, and some of this is going to be products that I don't think are toxic, but the market views them as toxic right now for various reasons. So the first item I want to talk about, and I kind of purposely omitted this last time because it's a little bit of a longer video, Final Fantasy Collector Commander. So these things have been really dead money from the start. I think they printed probably too many of them because this was in their overprint Final Fantasy Desperation mode, and there's really nothing special in the decks themselves other than they're all search foil. You have your collector sample pack, which is $10 each, but outside of that, it's just a cool thing to have. But these have really started to churn through the system. So if you look at the 1-year chart, you can see we've just gone straight down. Now, what's interesting, there's only 91 listed on the market, and I'm sure as time passes, there's going to be some more. These things were botted to hell on Walmart. Now, there's only 18 selling over the last month, but if we look at the last 3 months, there's 114. So we probably only have a couple months left of inventory until these things really start to dry up. And like I said, I would be shocked if these aren't $700, $800 by year end. But what I want to do is I want to take it a step further. And if we go to, this is the Titus deck, Counter Blitz. In the last month, 38 of these have sold, and there's only 80 on the market. So, in my mind, every time one of these sells, it obviously takes the sealed display off the market. Now, that's not to say that the 38 that have sold here also take 38 out of the sealed display. A lot of these are singles. I'm sure a lot of folks have bought the single decks off Walmart, but it's a good way. It's a good means of seeing how well some of these items are selling. So, just call it 38 of these selling on 80. You only have 2 months of inventory. And the last thing I want to touch on, I want to look at the single cards. Let's see. Let's go to the best selling here. I'm not even going to search on Surge Foil. I want to find a regular Surge Foil here. Probably Sphere Grid is going to be the best selling one right now. Let's see if I can't find one. If I can't find one here, I'll just search for Sphere Grid. Yeah, let's do it this way. So look at the Surge Foil. And this is specifically from one of the decks. And 109 in the last 3 months. In the last month, it sold 47 copies. So 47 of these decks have been broken apart specifically for singles. So we can see there's only about 20 actual displays selling. There's about 40 of the individual decks, and now we have 50 of the best-selling card across all the decks. So, we're probably 2 to 3 months away from this really, really drying up. Again, toxic forever. There's probably never going to be a whole lot of liquidity, but as these dry up, they're absolutely going to zoom. Make no doubt about it. It's going to happen. It's happened in every single one of these. I kind of look at this as the Warhammer 40K one on steroids. Bloomburrow play. So Southern Hobby is finally shipping their allocation of Bloomburrow play out. It's most likely started to land in some markets early this week, through the end of this week, and maybe a little bit tail end of next week. But really what I want to focus on here is this is the second big reprint. Going into December of 2024, these boxes were right around $200 again. The reprint hit, and it kind of churned the market. Now, the market was not nearly as hot as it is now, specifically on this product. And here it dried up, and we ran up to $200 again. We got a pretty sizable dump of product, and then we're back down to $130. So in the last month, 422 of these have sold. There's only 296 on the market. And I think what's different this time is there's so much demand for these in LGSs. A lot of this product, and by the way, this hit distribution, and it was gone same day. It was gone at PhD. It was gone at Southern. It was gone at GTS. was gone at Alliance, and it was also gone at Magazine Exchange. I think they had it on open order with a limit of a case or two for a week, and it was gone. So even though they printed a sizable amount, there's probably 80,000 boxes to 100,000 boxes that hit distribution. That's just my best guess. In talking to some of the distributors and what they're getting in the warehouses and what some of the overall POs look like. So probably about 100,000 boxes of these hit. But they're going to LGSs, and they're basically vaporizing. But if this is a product that you want, and it's going to get reprinted again, probably year end, but buying this at $132, it's going to be back at $190 to $200 probably in the next 3 months, just because of how quickly this product is churning. Now is the time to buy it. So moving on. Lord of the Rings Commander. These things distribution couldn't give away because they were printed so much. And back here, when they were selling for $160, they were $150 from distro, $140, $150 at distro. So there was just no profit in these. And then all of a sudden, they dry up and the price doubles. So now they're sitting lowest list at $340. Now, what I'm told is these are coming out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I have not gotten confirmation from a second distributor. I've only heard that from one. But when they come out, it's going to be time to pick these up because they're probably not going to get another reprint after this, just like when Ixalan reprinted a couple months ago. I don't think there's going to be another reprint of those. And look, these are going to age well. They're going to be $500 Commander decks probably by the end of the year when they rotate out. Now, again, there's nothing keeping Hasbro from reprinting these, but as the earnings targets get higher and higher, reprinting Commander decks move the needle less and less. So they're going to have to print the living crap out of play boxes, set boxes, everything they can, to the point where they're going to have to saturate distribution if they have any hope of hitting their numbers. I think given the extreme softness of turtle selling on Amazon, they're panicked, and that's why we're seeing all of these secret layers just dropping day after day after day. They're lobbing parachutes at the problem, and I'm not sure they're going to get there because I think they've created a problem with turtles perception-wise. I'm sure this set's going to be fine. I'm sure they're going to be some powerful cards, but right now the market is rejecting the product, and until theoretically they don't. So we'll see. We'll see what the special guest slots look like. I know I saw doubling seasons in there, which I think is an all-time high. But if it's reasonably strong, the set will probably do fine. If they short ship distribution, which is what they should do on the play boxes, the set will do fine. So moving to Pokemon. Twilight Masquerade Elite Trainer boxes. So they dumped the living crap out of these on distribution. They were sitting right around $100. I think they were actually closer to 110. They dumped a ton back in August, yeah. And we've been treading water ever since. So there's still 619 left in the market. 2,700 plus have sold since the market dump. And then last month, there's been 290 of these sold. But the price has been suppressed here because there's a lot of product out here. Here you have no-name sellers. Most likely they've been listed from either bought off Walmart or from vending machines. But with these boxes pushing $325, there's no reason why these are at $75. It's an absolute steal right now. Most likely not going to see a sizable reprint of ETBs if we see a reprint at all. This set does rotate out in April of 2027. So now's the time to pick it up. It's most likely never going to be cheaper than this. And then the same with Surging Sparks. These were pushing $140 forever. Here's everybody's favorite importer. $80 now. And again, we look at the chart, same thing. And the exact same time. It was 115, high sale price 150. So it was much higher than this. And then you see it's just gotten smashed and smashed and smashed. And we're finally at the point where we're starting to see things pick up. In the last 6 months, 3,200 versus 27 and change of Twilight, but 321 in the last month. And you can see this gets up here, then people drop product. But this is probably 2 months from drying up as well. And there's a decent amount here at $80. I personally would probably buy the sealed cases VTBs for Twilight and Surging. But at this price, by the end of 2027, assuming we don't have any massive reprints of these, they're probably going to be close to double in price as they start to rotate out. And that's just the world we live in. You know, I personally don't see anything that's going to slow Pokemon down. As bad as Hasbro's been cheating the player base by removing the fun from the game and trying to cram a bunch of garbage down everybody's throat, people still buy the game. They still love the game. I just don't see anything that's going to get in the way of those two in 2026. You know, and the lower Bitcoin gets, the more people tend to or seem to be pushing funds into Pokemon, One Piece, Gundam now. I don't know if you guys saw, but after my OP01 video from the last one, the boxes are $250 now. So they've gone absolutely parabolic, mostly because supply is drying up. And then let's just pick a random Weiss set. And this is Chainsaw Man. So I bought a couple of cases of these. I tried to watch the anime. It was god awful. But apparently a lot of people like it. I know there's a new, I think it's Union Arena set that's coming out, or Universe, one of the two. It doesn't matter. But these boxes were like $50, $40 forever. And you look at the 1 year chart. Now here they've been a little bit more. And then all of a sudden everything dries up and it goes from 80 to 130 because there's only eight boxes listed on the market. And when we're in a bull market like this and any sort of IP just dries up, things go parabolic. And, you know, there's not a whole heck of a lot of liquidity, but, you know, 17 boxes in the last month because there hasn't been any in the market, but 123 boxes in the last quarter. That's not terrible. You know, you're 42, 43 boxes a month, which is, it's basically just over 2 cases because these are 18-box cases. So a lot of this stuff is, it's moving. It really is. And I want to hit on one last one. So Azur Lane Volume 2. So this is interesting because the cases have a pretty sizable premium, almost $1,400 for a case, and there's 40 cases listed. But if we go to the booster boxes are not quite supportive of that price. You know, we're sitting at $60 here, $579 listed, 174 sold in the last month. So this is going to probably sit at $60 to $70 for the next 4 months. And then it's going to dry up and the boxes are going to go to $100. And that's just the way the world works in this space. Now, I will tell you that there was a second reprint of first edition that just hit distribution. I will also tell you that it was so horribly underordered. I don't see it really impacting the price of this because when Bushi was soliciting orders, the price of these boxes were basically $44 because there's a lot of backpack sellers who buy these and they just dump them on the market. I don't know why. Maybe it makes them feel good to lose a couple bucks a box. But I know one distributor got like 900 boxes. Another distributor got like 400 boxes, 500 boxes. So there's not a whole lot of this out there. But if the price goes down, now's the time to buy because they're not going to print another, or they're not going to have another printing of first edition. They may do a reprint at some time down the line. Bushi seems to be in full-on print money mode by printing cards. But you know, if this pushes down to $50, $45 a box, I'd be all over it. So anyway, just wanted to walk through some additional, you know, what I would call toxic assets that are really starting to turn the corner or have turned the corner, just to bring it to everybody's attention. Because if it's something that you're interested in, the price of most of these items is never going to be less than what it is today, unless the entire world falls apart and the TCG world goes to zero. So anyway, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and have a great night.